I love knowing that there are so many women that enjoy gaming as much as I do.
Where else can you find a strong group of women that are just supportive and they don't judge ever? That's why I like it there.
Every female.
And welcome to the very first Femme Gaming Ladies Power Hour. That's IRL. It feels so good to say that. We are live here, and this is presented by Toronto Ultra. We are at the Major 3, a huge event here in Canada, and we're excited to bring our popular Power Hour right here in the Challenger area. Now, we're going to discuss, the topics that are most important to us. That's what Ladies Power Hour is all about. And today we're talking about achievement unlocked. We have the major players in the industry that are going to talk about their experience moving through this space and talking about the business of esports. So please help me in welcoming our panelists. We have Madison Edgar, Event Manager, Global Esports at Activision Blizzard. Welcome. We have Allison Walker, Chief Commercial Officer at OAM, Overactive Media. And someone who probably doesn't need an introduction, but we're going to do it anyways, Jessica Medeiros, founder of Femme Gaming. Thank you so much for joining us today. We also have chat going, so I see the Femme Army is here and supporting as well. So I thought, to give us a little bit more background on your backgrounds, we'll just start with very top line questions. So Madison, actually, let's start with you since you're at the end there. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey into esports and a little bit about your role at Activision Blizzard?
All right, well, I'm somewhat new because I started in January, but it was a cool journey. I wanted the job that I have for 3 years. I applied for the job, never heard back, and then a recruiter reached out to me saying, hey, are you interested in this position? I opened it up, and it was the position I wanted. So, wow. I got lucky, but so did they. So, obviously, I had the interview, and my director, Mary Sullivan, Senior Director of all of esports at Activision Blizzard. She, as soon as we started talking, I told everyone, I was like, I think I'm getting the job. So I knew it was really competitive, but I got in, and I don't know, it's exciting because I wanted it, I didn't get it, I kind of forgot about it, and then it came, and it was, I couldn't be happier to be here. So it was easy the way it happened, but I wanted it for so long that it was kind of a dream come true. So that was my journey here, and I love our team. And even though it's seen as kind of a male-dominated company or esports in general, I can tell you we have some amazing women directly with us. So just with the events alone, my director's a woman, Claire Arthur, team business operations, she's here. Steph Collins, she's IT, she's here. Alexa, she's our media PR person. We're all women, we're all traveling together, and it's amazing. And also I get to meet all of these incredible women, so it's been awesome.
That's amazing. I love how unapologetic you are about your success, and that's why we're here. We're here to celebrate successes. Allison, you've had a lot of successes throughout your career. Can you tell us more about what you do as CCO at OEM?
CCO. Apologies, it's event week. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with these three wonderful ladies. Look, I have had so many successes in my career only because everybody around me has been amazing, and it's always a team. I have two amazing team members with me here, Laura, Amy, who literally make things happen all the time. So I would say that I know we're going to get into a little bit of how do we continue to advance women, because that's why we're here today. But having, exactly what Madison said, having amazing people around you that lift each other up. This event is run, frankly, by women. here in Toronto, I would humbly say that our team is putting on one of the very best Call of Duty events that's been put on yet. And again, behind the scenes, if you run around, you'll see that there are so many amazing people and the diversity of this team. And so on the business side, I'm so pleased to say that I believe, especially in esports at the highest levels, that the diversity of the teams behind the teams are what are making the entire industry sort of have a positive trajectory forward. So as Chief Commercial Officer, I am only that because I'm surrounded by great people. And a lot of us have brought experiences in from the outside to our organizations, and we're just really, really motivated to build an organization and to grow esports and to grow all that we're doing. And I really encourage you to spend more time, those are at this event, getting to know what people do in their roles, because there are some pretty awesome jobs within esports. Just from a career perspective, it's very powerful and it's very special for all of us.
I could speak to the fact that it's a diverse team because I am also hosting the arena side for the Major 3, and everyone behind the scenes, like just different walks of life, different backgrounds, different experience levels in esports, and it honestly has been super cool. So we'll talk about the business side in a bit, but first we have to talk Jess. I mean, Jess, you are obviously the founder that brought this all together. But before Fem Gaming, let's talk about your experience in gaming and esports.
Thank you, Camille. Yes, it's a little overwhelming that this is Fem Gaming now. Before I started Fem Gaming, I did a lot of work with World Gaming Network, working as a brand ambassador at tournaments here in Toronto at the Scotiabank Arena. Back in 2017, they were already doing events that were $50,000 for Call of Duty, and I was like, what's going on? So I did a bit of that, as well as I worked with the NBA and NHL representing PlayStation for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors. And my first Call of Duty job was back in 2013, doing the a midnight release. They don't do that anymore because everything's online. But at the time, it was a midnight release at Yorkdale Mall, and it was for the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. And it was a 3-hour event, and there was video games. We were all dressed up in soldiers, and we had a fabulous time. And at the end of it, I got paid, and I was like, I can't believe I just got paid doing something so much fun. And then ever since then, I've always tried to look at gaming events in Toronto, and that's how I looked at World Gaming Network and continued doing brand ambassador work with gaming events. And I think we'll get more into Fem Gaming, but that's kind of the gist of my background before Fem Gaming.
Well, thank goodness for midnight releases. I miss them, but also because it was a thought starter for you for Fem Gaming. Now, this is all about celebrating achievements, so I thought maybe we'd start off by celebrating our individual achievements. Madison, do you want to start by talking about the achievement that you're most proud of throughout your career in esports?
The fact that I got hired by this company. So I used to play Call of Duty about a decade ago with my twin sister for about 5 hours every single night, and that was our way of like keeping in touch because we're both at college, or we just graduated from college, whatever. But it was a way to like stay in touch, and like I never thought that I'd ever work for Call of Duty at the time, and now, like when I got the job, my sister's the first person I called, and I was like, sis, I got a job at Call of Duty. She's like, what? Do I get free stuff? And she did a little bit, but I say like just the fact that I got the job with, of course, the game that I love the most, maybe beside like GoldenEye. Was it 007 Golden? Do you remember that game?
Yeah. Slappers only.
But I would say the fact that I got this game, but the most, I guess, incredible thing that I've done since working from here is like still being a mom to a baby and traveling and still being like present and being like proud of what I'm doing and not wanting to like give up. So I think like the balance of the two, and I think I can like also talk to other women in our company like who might be expecting or like thinking about getting married and having kids, saying like, hey, you can do it. It's not easy, but you can do it. And like when I get home, my husband's so proud of me and my baby's so happy to see me. So like that's the most incredible thing to me, because it's like I like making my family proud, and I like being on the road and like putting on these events and seeing them come to life. So it's all about balance, and yeah, everything just coming together.
I love that your most proud achievement is so personal to you, because balance is very important. Allison, you've done a lot in your career, so what is your proudest moment?
I love that story, by the way. I would love to focus on the last couple of years, and particularly Call of Duty. We're very lucky at Overactive Media. We work on a number of different team brands, and we have an operation in Europe as well with League of Legends. So there's a lot, and our teams are awesome. But I will say last year, 2021, the combined work of every single person on our team, from acquiring Call of Duty franchise to building out a brand to creating opportunities for partners in Canada to attach to Call of Duty, to building culture around an organization. I've got more of my colleagues in the room now, intentionally building values and a culture where people want to work. Everybody works so hard, but everybody supports each other. And in 2021, in Canada, there's a group called the Sponsorship Marketing Awards. And in 2021, Call of Duty won, Toronto Ultra won the Property of the Year against brands like the Canadian Olympic Committee, Toronto Raptors, the Maple Leafs, CFL teams. This group won this award, and that was the culmination of so much hard work. And really, it was our way of showing our peers and the entire industry that this is here to stay, and we've now set a new bar for how we're going to do things. And so that was a huge career highlight for me, thanks to some of the people in this room.
Yeah, that's a huge, firstly, cheers to the whole team, because fairly new company going up against some of these legendary brands. That just shows that OAM is going to be a legendary brand. But Jess, we'll talk Femme, but before Femme, what was your proudest moment in your career in esports?
To be honest, I would say I wouldn't have a proudest moment before Femme Gaming. This is my proudest moment, so I'll leave it as that.
Can we all just get some hearts in chat? Can we get some hearts in chat? I love that, Jess. Thank you so much. Now, Madison, you talked about the balance between family and business. Sometimes that's often a conversation about one of the barriers women face in the space. What are some other barriers that you might have faced or that you think women have in the industry?
I think they can be intimidated because they don't know where to start, or they think maybe they'll be like an outcast. And I've never felt that way, but I know it exists. I am very competitive. I'm a twin, so I see what some might see as challenges as something very exciting. So before this, I was in bodybuilding. I was excited to get into bodybuilding because I was one of very, very few women there. I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I traveled the world for bodybuilding. And then now I'm here. There's a lot more women, so it's really exciting. But I think instead of being intimidated by going into a sport or an industry that is known to be male-dominated, see it as an opportunity. And once you're in, you're gonna get more people in because you're gonna be a leader. And so that saying, "Be so great they can't ignore you," or whatever. So that's definitely what I do. I seriously think even when people check in and they meet me, they're like, "Yeah, yay, more girls," and they get excited. And maybe that's not happening, but to me it is. And so I don't know. That's how I view it.
Allison, do you have a barrier to add that you think is in the space?
I don't think this is specific to gaming or esports. This is women across the board. Again, I will say in business because that's where I've been focused. Jess and I were talking about this earlier. Women tend to want to be perfect at something before they take it on. We don't want to strive for the bigger title because we don't think we're quite ready. We don't think we are. We're nervous when we go to do panels. I was talking to somebody else today about that. So I think the barrier in many cases is ourselves. Now, I realize this is slightly different than getting into gaming, but from a getting into esports on the business side, the more that we can come together in these types of environments, the more that we can support each other, the more that we can practice and do things like this and get I can tell you there are Beth, Emily, Bridget, there are a million women in this room already that could be sitting here right now. They just happen to be running the event, so they're a bit busy. And my friend Amy lost her voice. So, there are so many women who should be doing this. But so I think the barrier is ourselves. I was lucky enough to do an MBA many, many years ago. And one of our professors said two things. One, I took a job in finance, in capital markets, and she said, you never cry on the floor, on the trading floor. And that piece of advice, literally, I wanted to cry on the trading floor, but she had our back all the time, and you go and you cry somewhere else. But the second thing was, when you go in an interview, the man that goes in before you is going to go in and he's going to say, I'm ready for this, I'm going to be good at this, and you should hire me. And so you can go into that interview and you can say, well, I'm not quite as good, or I'm not quite, but just know the guy that went in before you. And so back to your competitive piece, I was like, well, why should he get the job? Because he's not better than I am. But it just means you have to find your own authentic way to share your stories and your experiences, and we can all still be modest, but you need to, and you need to have your peers and your allies do that for you too, but you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and celebrate your achievements. And so I think we are our own biggest barrier in some ways, just because we don't necessarily think we're ready for something. And that's why I'm so proud of, for us at Overactive, what we've done. We've got literally female leaders in all functions of our business leading what we're doing, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's just, I'm just so proud of what gets accomplished by this amazing group of people. And it's not just women. Our male colleagues are amazing too. And I'll just add one more thing, that my experience is that many of my younger colleagues, male colleagues, are allies from the beginning. They see the importance of diversity in the workplace. They see the importance of everybody having a voice. And so that the importance of being intentional about employing people that want a diverse workplace is really important to that.
Thank you for that. Jess, I guess round out this question, maybe giving us the gamer perspective of it. Like, what are some barriers? Because sometimes, our first interactions online may not be the best if we hop into a game. So what are some of the other barriers that we may face?
Well, Camille, I don't know if you're aware of this, but 75% of female gamers face gender-based discrimination. So when you hear that statistic, it's hard to want to be involved in an industry that's for everyone, when in reality, that's not what shows. When you play games online, as soon as a woman's voice is heard, you hear everything from go to the kitchen, make me a sandwich, why are you gaming? So it is an industry where, as Madison said, you feel intimidated, and you don't want to be part of it, because why would you want to be part of an industry that brings you down every time you're trying to just have fun? So that's, I think, a lot of what female gamers face online. And then if you face that online, why would you want to work in that industry? Not only just be part of it recreationally, but to be part of it on a professional standpoint, you might just be turned off. So I think there's a lot of change that needs to happen, but workshops like this help the industry, and it's great to be with these amazing women.
Now, we talked about the barriers, but let's talk about how you overcome these barriers. So you mentioned, some of the harassment that women may face online. So how do you handle that? Is that through finding a community to feel comfortable to play with?
Yeah, once again, like, if you hear it once, you might not take it seriously, but if you hear it over and over again, you're going to question, well, am I that stupid, or am I not that good enough? So yes, finding a community is a great way to go overcome those barriers and find like-minded players that are like you, who have gone through the same things. So for example, we have the Femme Gaming community. We are worldwide. We have female players from every continent of the world that come together, share their experiences, share what they feel, meet and play together. So finding community, and also just knowing about yourself as a player. And even if people are saying the worst things to you, remember that you don't have to take that. You just know that maybe that player has something going on in their life, or maybe they're not the best player and they're just trying to make them feel good for some odd reason. But never take what anyone says online seriously, and just know that you're there at the game to have fun and just to be yourself.
I love that. Allison, now you have a background at the Canadian Olympic broadcast, sports background. you came into the world of esports. So I have to ask, what is it about esports that attracted you to the business?
A couple of different things. Apologies. Live events was not one of them, clearly. First of all, the opportunity, and Madison touched on this, the opportunity to have a positive impact in what is a growing ecosystem and a growing, call it industry, to have a positive impact as a woman. And again, this is where it's so hard because social media as a whole, anything online, is very anonymous, and there can be so much vitriol because people are hiding behind their handles, they're hiding, whereas you don't face that necessarily in business because you're face to face with people. And so the opportunity to grow something, the opportunity to have an impact and create and work with a team that is truly trying to do things better and to push the limits all the time, it was so important to me. And being understanding and being relevant in what is, we talk about today's generation of fans all the time. I mean, candidly, and I can say it now, not at the breakfast this morning, working for a traditional broadcaster, your audiences are basically sort of 40 and above. We talk about 18 to 34, it's 34 and above. So for me, it was, for my own career and for my own interests, I love the idea of really understanding who young fans are, who young consumers are, evolving trends, lifestyle, pop culture, all of it is, all that entire package was so important to me and so interesting. But I would say it's this group of people all together, we've come together and we are determined together to build something successful, to have impact, and that's just been so wonderful, and you can see it here today. That's basically why I did that.
Yeah, the fans are crazy loud at esports event, as you could tell if you've been in the arena, and as you could tell by Allison's voice. So I'll give you a break with the next question, Allison. Madison, you also came from a background of traditional sports, entertainment, and now working in events. Well, all your experience working in events, you really have your boots on the ground, yes, right here at Toronto Ultra Major 3. So how do you feel events like this and planning events like this really play into creating a welcoming environment for women that want to get their feet wet in esports?
So I think it's like a little tough because if you look at all the pro players, are all guys. So there's that. We do a great job at Activision Blizzard of like building more tournaments where it's going to be like women driven or for women. So we're trying to like get that going so that we can have more athletes and maybe they can be like pro players, and like once we get one up there, there's going to be more. But that, I think that might be a little bit of a road. Just having these events and seeing maybe like the people behind the scenes having so many women behind the scenes might be nice for other like attendees to see. Like again, with the check-in, when people see that there's so many women here, they might think, okay, I can get involved, or maybe there are more women in it. It's just, from an event perspective, I think there's still a lot to be done, but we're doing a good job. We're getting involved. We have a lot of like spectators who are women. I think we just need to do a better job getting more female athletes, female players, female competitors. I don't even know if we have females in challengers yet, but we're getting there. We're doing a lot to do that. So I think that'll help. But from what we've already done, and from coming from like for bodybuilding, it used to be just men. And we were able to get it once I left to have just as many women divisions as there were male divisions. A lot of people don't know about it, but you have like the heavyweight men, but the women bring in just as much fans to the stand. So it was kind of like, that was really powerful to see in my old job, and that's kind of why I came. What I'm excited about here, it's like it's almost like being a part of a startup, even though it's such a huge company and we have these huge teams. It feels like a startup, like we're at the foundation of something huge. So I don't know what the future is yet, but it could, like, it's what we're gonna make it. And we have all these women behind the scenes. There's no way there's not gonna be more women involved with our like competitions. So that's maybe like one of my goals to see in the next couple of years or something?
Yeah, I have to say, actually, I've been to a lot of esports events, and coming here, I was really pleasantly surprised with how many women were working or are working this event. So I completely agree with that. I think it's just, you get that relief as soon as you walk through the door. You're like, I'm welcomed in this space. So I want to see that. I want to see that. Allison and Madison, you both come from traditional sports, coming into esports. Esports is so fast-paced, always changing. It's sometimes hard to gain fluency in this space. So how do you stay on top of the trends? How do you stay focused and make sure that you know what's up?
That's a great question. You surround yourself with really awesome people. One of the great things is a small tangent, but through COVID, and for those that are in Toronto, you'll know that we were probably the most locked down city in the entire world for like 2 years. But our biggest issue is actually that everybody wanted to come into our facility that you were in this morning, Camille. So we all wanted to come in, but being able to, I mean, we're obviously on Zoom calls like everybody else, but we're a very close group that spent a lot of time, ask the team here, spent a lot of time connecting and on calls. We have, what I would tell you is we have the best marketing and partnerships team in the business, and they help me understand what's happening, which goes back to the relevancy point. You know, personally in my career, I wanted to work in a younger industry, and I want to stay relevant too. And I love the passion of these fans, and I love creating storylines and authenticity around what we're doing, and how do we, in some cases, attach brands, how do we tell great stories, how do we try to make sure that, you know, we mean something in this market, and that for the same reason fans love to go watch the Raptors, they want to come and watch Toronto Ultra. So what I would tell you is that surround yourself with great people who understand exactly what the trends are. And I learned, we have got 5,000, Bridget, how many Teams channels do we have? We are posting trends all the time. And even if I can't be on a meeting, I'm seeing what people are posting. It's pretty spectacular, just learning from the people around you. So I'll keep going back to team, but we have just an amazing team.
Have a good squad around you. Madison, what are you doing, or what did you do to gain fluency in the space?
Same thing, like lean on other people. Once I started working, I kind of fell off the whole like Call of Duty everything because I didn't have time to play. But what's hopeful for some people is you don't necessarily have to play or know the game well to get into like Activision Blizzard. I don't know if a lot of people know that. They'll tell you right off the bat, like, do you play? It's not a requirement, and that might like tell people like, hey, whether or not you game, you can be a part of our team. But to stay relevant, I ask a lot of questions because everyone else, not everyone else, but a lot of other people can explain to me like what's going on. Also, once you attend one of these events, you become an instant fan. You learn what's going on because it can be confusing for a second, but like instant fandom, instant like wanting to stay like on top of it and see who's gonna win, see like who's the next match. But other than that, I would lean on other people because we're doing so much, it's hard to like know what's going on with like social, what's going on with everything. But again, yeah, lean on your teams.
I just want to add, you made a great point. Create a culture where asking questions is okay. I in fact, Claire would know this. I often say to our team, ask Claire or ask the folks at the league, if you don't know something, just ask them. Yep. It's okay. And so I often end up being the person that says, hey, this might not be a very good, I'm on a lot of the CDL owners' calls, so all of the owners of all these teams, and there aren't that many women, and often I will ask a question and say, I don't know if this is maybe not the right question, but, and 99 times out of 100, everybody else had the same question, or they'll say that's a good question. And so I think we, particularly as women, there needs to be an openness to asking questions because, of course, nobody wants to look stupid, especially in an industry where you already feel like you're the minority. So the encouragement and the support about ask no question's a bad question. Ask the question, everybody will support you. And even if some of those people, but to Jess's point, even if some of the males on the call don't think it's a good question, it doesn't matter. You need to ask those questions because you need to know what's going on.
Also, they'll message you on the side saying, I'm so glad you asked. So like everyone's asking that, like everyone wants to know. No one knows.
And reaffirming, I think, when those questions are asked, we're like, oh, really good question. I was wondering the same thing. So, it's creating that space to like just encourage it to happen. But Allison, you were talking about feelings, you don't want to feel stupid. All these thoughts sometimes go in our heads when there's accomplishment after accomplishment. You're really afraid to mess up. That feeling of imposter syndrome. So Jess, I'll start with you, but this question's for all three of you. Have you ever had feelings of imposter syndrome, and like how do you handle that?
My whole team tells me I have imposter syndrome. They're all here, and thanks. Hi, ladies. How do I handle it? I just listen to them, and they just tell me how great I am and everything that we've accomplished as a team. And as it's hard to get over that this is Femme Gaming, and we have Camille, the host of the year, and Allison and Madison, and I'm talking with them right now. So definitely have imposter syndrome, and to get over it, just listen to your friends and family that support you.
All right, well, listen to me. You don't need to have imposter syndrome. You create this amazing community, and you brought us all here together IRL. So be very proud in that. Allison.
This is a great question. It comes up a lot. I was fortunate to go to the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference and speak on an esports panel in February or March. And imposter syndrome comes up a lot. And these are female CEOs of FanDuel, like massive CEO of a massive betting company in the US, of the LA 2028 games, of like, these women have made it to the top, and everybody has experienced imposter syndrome. So I actually do think that genetically women naturally feel guilt, and we feel bad, and we feel sorry, and we feel some imposter syndrome. Some of the advice I always give is practice being out of your comfort zone, because that helps you gain the confidence that helps a little bit with that imposter syndrome. It's good to be out of your comfort zone sometimes. It's good to sit on panels where you're not necessarily prepared or haven't seen the questions ahead of time. It's good to go to events. I often say, Amy Williams, I've said this to you before, I often say, go to an event on your own. Don't grab your colleague. Don't grab your girlfriend. Go alone. And it's hard. And you walk in and it's like, wow, I'm totally out of my element and I don't know anyone. But you walk in and you either walk up to someone and say, hi, I'm Allison, it's nice to meet you. They ask, what do you do? And you say, I work in esports. And the first thing they're gonna say is, that is so cool, tell me about it. And then the rest flows from there. But you almost have to force yourself into those uncomfortable situations in order to then build the confidence to know, I got this. No matter what, Jess and I were talking about this. Jess has such an amazing story to tell. Everybody wants to hear it. So, having allies and friends to encourage Jess to tell her story, because every young woman that's coming up after Jess is listening and is going to be encouraged to stay in gaming and to ignore those people online and to keep going and to be successful. And I promise you, it will pay off. And it will take one person at a time, but to me, that's how you overcome it. So the answer is, of course, I have imposter syndrome all the time. But the more you practice being uncomfortable and the more you surround yourself with allies and great supporters, the more you can overcome it.
That was really great. I think the key, your imposter syndrome doesn't go away. It comes up in different moments. And yes, going to events alone, that was one of the things I've learned. It's like, I may not talk to anyone, but no one will remember me because I'm here alone. Or you meet people and you create great, long-lasting relationships. How about you, Madison?
It's like I'm a little different, maybe. I would say I handle it by being a yes person. I'm like a tag-along. So like Claire knows this. Whenever Teambo wants to do something, I'm like, I want to come. They're like, okay, come. Or I'll like attend the owners meeting when I shouldn't even be there. And then like I'm talking to everyone and I feel like I'm supposed to be there. So it's like kind of like what you said, put yourself in, it's very comfortable for me because I just like love being around people, but like put yourself in situations where maybe you don't think you're supposed to be, and then you like might feel at home, and then now your confidence is growing. And like I think I've experienced it because I went to a very small school, and everyone that I work with, they're like all so intelligent, and they all came from like any major sport or this and that, and they're so accomplished. And I think sometimes I'm like, how did I get here? But I'm like, I'm totally supposed to be here. Yeah. So it's just like, recognizing how great everything, like everyone else is, but also realizing like you're here for a reason. And I think that's that's how I deal with it.
We're all here for a reason, and it's to chat more about, the experiences women face. And sometimes those experiences have to do with being the only woman for maybe a long time in an environment, and then having another woman come in, and that feeling of competition that may emerge. How do you deal with that? What is the fix for that? Because again, we want to be perfect at everything we do. And sometimes when we're the only ones in the space, we feel like we're walking on a tight thread, right? So how do you go about making sure that you're being a supportive ally to other women in the space? Jess?
This is why I created the Ladies Power Hour, to give opportunities to other women to have a voice on stage. So this is one thing that we do. Another thing that we do on LinkedIn is the awesome shout out posts, and we just give awesome shout outs to women in the industry, and we just like to lift people up and make sure they're seen and know how great they are.
Allison, Madison?
This is such a great question. As I have been building my career, I've never thought of success as being scarce. I've never thought that if that person's successful, then I can't be successful. And so maybe it's part of my personality, but I truly believe that if the team is successful, then individually you'll be successful. So, I mean, I do believe there's always some healthy competition, and I think that can be okay, because I think that's what produces results, but only if it's healthy. You still want success for your colleagues, and as a leader, I think you do need to be intentional about how you build your teams, and like, humans are very diverse and dynamic and don't always agree with each other. And so I think there's a healthy balance of, radical candor and making sure that we can have honest conversations with each other. But you have to figure out how to build teams where everybody's complementing each other, and it ebbs and flows through stressful times. And sometimes certain teams, on our team, we took our company public, and so there are times when our finance team is so busy planning for a quarter, a year end, a quarter, and everybody else is just really, really busy, but not quite as busy. And then there are other times when, some of them here are very busy, but others aren't quite as busy because they're not doing events. And so stress flows with that, right? So some teams are up and down. And so I think really recognizing what everybody needs and making sure, of course, we're always supporting each other. And a little bit of healthy competition is okay. And that's what allows us to break barriers and to do new things and to want to be better. But I do think you do have to be mindful of it as a leader too, to make sure that it's only healthy competition and not too much. And sometimes you just have to make changes on your teams. It's to me analogous. I was lucky enough to play some competitive sports at a fairly high level, and building teams on the field of play, on this field of play, and building teams in the boardroom, as it were. It's all very similar, and there's a lot of thinking that needs to go into how do you have an effective team and an inclusive team and a communicative team, and it's never perfect. It's always a work in progress, and I think that's an important part of sort of dealing with this fine balance of healthy competition versus pushing each other. I will just add that a bunch of us started a chapter of something called Women in Sports and Events in Toronto, and there's a group of chapters across the U.S. And this is a group of women who genuinely want to lift each other up. And most of the people that I've met through my Olympic days and Maple Leaf Sports and media days, most of the women I know are all involved in some way or another. There are very few women that don't want to give back, support each other, help lift each other up. It's very rare. There's the odd person, but that's why I just love in this industry. And when I say this industry, I speak of sports, media, and entertainment as a whole. In a city like Toronto, a country like Canada, it's a wonderful environment to be in. And events like this, an event a bunch of us were at a couple months ago or a month ago, when was it? It just made you feel really proud to be a part of this and to be with such amazing women.
Madison, surrounding yourself with amazing women, making sure that you're feeling comfortable and that it's safe, competition. Anything else to add with managing that?
Yeah, I've had the opposite. I don't feel like we've ever felt competitive of each other. It's not like if you fill my cup, it comes from your cup, whatever the saying is. I think we like gravitate towards each other. We love hanging out together. We're proud of each other. And I will say, even the guys on our team, whenever they hire a woman, they're like proud of it. Like, oh, can't wait for you to meet her. She's awesome. So I feel like it's not just us being proud of each other. It's like the guys getting proud to bring more women on. So that's really cool. And I will say, like, the only time I felt where people were intimidated or it felt very like almost negatively competitive is when I was focusing on sales with a different company, and I was killing it, and like it was one of those things like they weren't clapping for me, and you're supposed to be like aware of like when you succeed, like pay attention who's clapping for you and who's not. And it was like more of the guys who I felt were threatened by me than the women. So I've had the opposite situation happen. So we've got a great group. Same with you. It's been the opposite. We build each other up rather than like knock each other down.
I love that, and it's important to also just talk about those experiences so we know that we're here to support each other. Madison, earlier you talked about that work-life balance. Mental health is a huge part of, I feel, your success in your career. So how do you go about having that balance? What would be one key advice you would want to give someone that's looking for that work-life balance?
Just besides family, the thing that I like strongly believe in, I do it almost every single day, and it makes me a better person, is just taking a moment to work out. Like getting some physical activity. I ride a Peloton. If I can get 30 minutes to an hour of that, like my attitude is like completely different. My energy is great for the entire day. I'm a better worker, better mom, better wife, everything. And I could get deeper, but I would say like as simple as just getting a workout, and that gives me my mental clarity. That's all I need.
All right, I like that. A good workout. Allison, for you, what would be that one thing that
We're gonna
keeps
have
you
to talk
balanced?
about Peloton instructors. I love that 100%. That's hard to do as much as I'd like. Someone once said, like, the way you measure work-life balance, it shouldn't be on a daily basis. And maybe it's not even on a weekly basis. Maybe it's monthly. Everybody has their own way, because you do have times in your life like this week. There is no balance. There's no doubt about it. I won't see my son. I won't sleep. I won't be on the Peloton. But it's in longer chunks, which was very helpful for me because I stopped stressing about work-life balance every day, and it was more on the longer term. We're not particularly good at work-life balance right now at Overactive Media, I'm not going to lie. We have a group of very passionate human beings who love what they do and I think love each other, and we work a lot. But one of the things that's important is we each need to carve out our own time and our own space. And it needs to be okay that, Bridget and I have talked about this before, if one of her designers wants to do their best work at night, that's okay. And they may not like to sleep in, and that's okay too. And that's actually a really good byproduct of the pandemic, is this notion of sort of flexible work. Again, we might be working a lot right now, but just the idea that there are times when I need to take my own time. Amy needs to take her own time to do her thing at some point. I like this in an organization, and I do think, well, we may not walk the talk all the time. That's our intention, is to make sure that everybody can take their own time to have their own work-life balance. And I think that personalization and that flexibility is important, because it's really not one thing for one thing for everybody, if that makes sense.
Jess, to round this question off, what do you do to stay balanced and stay grounded mentally?
For me, it's surrounding myself with great people. So, for example, my family, sometimes I'm always working, and I'm like, I'm doing fem gaming stuff, And for them, it's kind of like, well, aren't you hanging out with us? It's more like, okay, great, keep working on it. We support you. My sister's here, so she's supporting me. And then in regards to like the team aspect, where I find the work-life balance is, like, for the longest time I was doing the social media, and it was hard for me to let it go. And then finally I let it go, and I gave it off to Billy, and I trust Billy. So having her behind me, supporting me, helps me with the work, the balancing the work. So as I said, just surrounding yourself with people who understand that some days you're going to be super busy, and some days you're going to have a lot of time off, and to embrace that time when you have the time off, to like, for example, if my family notices I'm not doing anything that weekend, they can embrace me and take me in, and because I'm not working so much. And then same with my team. They're always so great, and they help me with any extra work that I need. They'll say, "Oh, we'll take that off your plate, Jess," to help me with the work balance. So my work-life balance is surrounding myself with great people.
I love it. Allison, I'm going to go back to you for this one. With your experience in traditional sports and now your experience in esports, from the business side, what do you think is one thing that esports could learn from traditional sports in creating a welcoming environment for women and vice versa?
It's a great one. I mean, our organization is as diverse and has as many successful women, as I said, leading every function in our organization. So I actually think we're evolving in the right direction. Like I realize that we're trying to be unique. We're trying to build a world-leading organization. So it's not all the same across the board. So I guess I'm a little bit jaded by our ability to speak that way. Look, I'll take it a little different direction because, again, I don't think there's a massive contrast there. But what I will say is when people ask about getting into esports or working in esports or sports, the answer is the same thing. Be good at what you do. Be passionate about what you do. Be an amazing event leader. Be really good at finance. Be a great PR leader. Careers are careers. So be really good at what you do, and you will, if you want to work in gaming, you'll get a job in gaming. If you want to work in basketball, you'll get a job in basketball. So I think that's more of a message. Like I tell people all the time, there isn't a massive difference between traditional sport, our friends down the road, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, what they do and what we do, there is no difference. How they market to their fans, depending who the fan base is, might be a little bit different, but we're all doing the same thing. It's just we happen to be focused on professional gaming, and they're focused on basketball, hockey, and soccer. And so I took that question a little sideways, only because I don't actually think that there is that big of a difference between what we're doing. It's all coming together. It really is.
That's fair. I'll ping pong you another question then.
I'll take it.
All right. So you talked about, if you're passionate enough and you're doing good work, you will move on. Let's talk about the women in the space that are already working in the space but want to climb the ladder. So what piece of advice would you give them? What resources are out there that maybe OEM has?
Yeah, that is a very good question. We talk a lot about professional development and how do we make sure that everybody is working on their own plan to continue to succeed, because success isn't always a bigger title, or I often say in many of the jobs that I've had, I know for a fact that some of the people on my team don't want my job. They see what I'm doing and they're like, I don't really want that, but I want to grow. And so growth can be taking on more. Growth can be growth in title, of course, growth in compensation, all of those things. But I think professional development, focusing on what's the path that is going to grow you as an individual. I do think it's very important that people have access to going to conferences, learning from mentors. We talk a lot about mentorship, not just at our organization, but within WISE, Women in Sports and Events. We talk a lot about mentorship. To be able to have, we'll keep coming back to it, supportive people, particularly those that are more senior than you are, that you can run experiences by, that you can get perspectives from. It's a really important part of growing your career. So I often think it's partly the responsibility of the employee and it's partly the responsibility of the organization. Yeah. We are a young organization. Our leader of HR, Deidre's not here today, but we talk a lot about how do we create, as you said, tools and programs that can allow more people to continue to grow. We have different opportunities for people. It's not always, we're not handing out that everything costs money, but certain people in the organization have taken courses to be better at PowerPoint, or to be better at some form of design, or to be better at, you name the topic. So between sort of learning academically from different things, mentorship is important, getting out to conferences, networking, getting out of your comfort zone. There are things like that I think are in place. I will add another thing. We talk at length, we've been talking to Jess for years about how do we authentically, there's no doubt that our pro players are men. And we as an organization are not necessarily in a position where we're going to change that. So how do we authentically have an impact with women in gaming, separate from the business? We have a Valorant team now in the French league and the Valorant International League that some of you may be familiar with because there's a lot of talk about it. One of the things that they're doing is starting a Game Changers aspect to Valorant. And Game Changers is for women. And the debate that we actually have, and Jess and I haven't gotten into this, I'd like to, is are we better off trying to give women an open opportunity to grow and be better at esports so that they can eventually be on a team with men? Or should we be focused on teams of women where they're surrounded by supportive players and giving them a platform to play on? And by the way, it's not necessarily against those guys, but at the very least, they're together and they're growing. And so I'll finish off with one more thing because I've gone on a full tangent, which is we have off seasons in our business and in Toronto and in Europe, but our players, these guys will go home after August, hopefully champions, and we have an off season for 3 months. We have condos, we have a full facility that some of you have now been in, we have a training facility, we've got amazing staff, we've got coaches that may not be with us physically, but could be there virtually. So how do we use that time to create a meaningful program for women in gaming that allows us to deploy some tools? Here, let me tell you about business. Why don't we have our designers talk to you? Why don't we have our social media leads? How about our content creators? There's so much that we can share to help. And again, it may not be women becoming professional esports players, but they might be becoming creators. They might just want to stream on Twitch. And so we are talking about it a lot, and we want to make a difference. It's just a matter of how do you do that and do it authentically. That was a ramble, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're very passionate about it, and that's important. Madison, what are the resources out there maybe that you want to add to that?
What's ABK?
Yeah.
Like, we have a women's network. I know we have like women's scholarships. I don't know much about what else we have. I know that they're putting an emphasis on it. I just don't know what's already in place. But I know that it's one of our goals, and we're working towards it. I just don't know what's in place yet. But like what you're about to do, again, yeah, we don't need women on these teams. We might have a women's league, who knows? But even that would be awesome. Like, just focusing on women for even a moment is like the change you need. We don't need huge change overnight, but like little things where you're like, hey, we care about you. We're actually doing something to like lift you up. Yeah. So I like that. I like what you're doing.
We haven't done it yet, but we're
I
going
like
to do
what you're
it.
thinking about doing.
I like that as well. So I guess, Allison, is that safe to say that that's probably your next biggest accomplishment that you want for your career? Or what would that accomplishment be? And I'll ask all three of you this question, but I'll start with Allison.
I want this group of people to be successful together. It's that simple. And that means having impact in all of the people that walk in here today. The reason people say, wow, this is awesome, is because Emily created the merchandise, because Bridget is responsible for all of the designs you see, because who else is in the audience? Amy is responsible for all of the partners, because Beth is putting this entire event on. The impact, that's just this week, the impact that you can have on fans, on partners, on staff members. We have, one of the things I'm very proud of in this event is we've got an intern army for the summer, so our interns are literally here, and they're leading aspects of this event. We met these guys a month ago, and they're putting on our major three. It's like their passion is our passion. We have volunteers from Ryerson University, this now Toronto Metropolitan University, name change. They are all here being passionate, being part of the team, and so honestly, it's team success, and that comes on the field of play and in so many ways off the field of play. So that to me is an accomplishment, and if we can be successful, then I will be extraordinarily happy. I think we already have been, but there's more to go.
I love that accomplishment. Madison, do you want to go next?
Mine's very simple, but it means a lot to me. I like to be the sunshine. So I want, like, when people see me, I want them to smile. I want to make their day better. I want I want to do a good job with this job so that people want to hire more Madisons. I just, like, again, make an impact, be memorable. Like, you're paving the way. I'm not just paving the way for myself. Like, I'm a minority. I'm from Hawaii. I went to a small school. I feel like, again, if I could do it, a lot of other people could do it. So it's, be a good person, make others happy, lift other people, and, like, be the sunshine.
Be the sunshine. Jess, what would be your next accomplishment?
I'm going to quote one of my partners from Belong here, and I would like to, my accomplishment would be that women feel like they belong in the industry. For me, Femme Gaming was to give a platform for women in gaming to show that we're just as good as the guys and we just like to play and we want to make just as much money as the guys do. Just last year alone, the top esport male player won $7 million versus the female player who only won $420,000. And that's a $6.5 million difference. And we already see that in traditional sports, and we don't need to see it in esports, a brand new industry that we're trying to set the standard already. So for me, it would just be to accomplish that women are just as seen as just as good as the guys in the industry. And I hate to say this, but we wouldn't need a Femme Gaming because gaming is just for everyone. But we are here and we're making a difference, and we just want women to be seen as the guys. That's all.
Thank you for that. All right, to bring it home, before we get to some questions from the audience and from chat, if there's one piece of advice, maybe that you were given, or that you want to give the next generation of women that are working on their next big esports achievement, what would it be, Jess?
Never give up. A lot of the reasons why Femme Gaming is here is because a lot of companies didn't believe in me or didn't give me the opportunity or the chance to showcase what women can do. So I had to invent Femme Gaming to prove a point. So never give up and always believe in yourself.
Allison?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit of what Madison said. I think it's just being, like, having a positive attitude as much as possible. I mean, there are hard times, of course, but having a positive attitude, knowing that with a great group of people around you, you can figure anything out. To me, optimism, positivity, and supporting your colleagues is tops.
I would say you have to have a goal, you have to be intentional, and you have to, like, I like to visualize things. So, like, with this job, I imagine, like, signing the acceptance letter, and then it happened, like, the exact amount. Actually, I got more, but it was just, like, be intentional. So you have this goal, be intentional. Don't, like, let it go away. Make it your goal and be intentional. And again, don't give up, because, like, this job, it took 3 years to come back around. It's kind of funny, but I knew I was going to get it. The timing was just a little different, but, like, if you believe in it, I've seriously, everything that I've ever wanted, really, really bad, I've got. The husband I wanted, I believed it. I was like, oh, I'm getting him. Like, the baby I have, he's my dream. You got to believe it, be intentional, and you could seriously get anything. And I'm like, I live that. So, yeah.
Very inspiring words from all three of you. Thank you so much for your insights. Usually what we do at this moment, we open up the questions to chat, and we'll do that this time as well. But we also throw to a Femme moment where we hear from the Femme Army about what the community means to them. But this time, we actually have a live Femme moment. So take a look at this.
My name is Serenity, and I'm production lead. Normally I do this from home studio, but today I'm doing live from Major 3 by Toronto Ultra. Basically, if you believe in anything you want, you can get. So, and with Femme Gaming backing me up, it was easily attained. Back to you, Camille.
Thank you so much for that, Serenity. All right, so if you have any questions, please drop them in chat. I'm getting it up right now, so I'll be able to take a look at that. Jess, you wanted to say something for the community, and I'll pull this up.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Femme Gaming community who's watching live right now. Definitely wanted to shout out to our mod squad, the best mod squad out there. Janice, Berta, Kristen, Miss Harley B, and Angelica. They're amazing, and they're the main reason why Femme Gaming is as successful as it is. They're amazing community members. Shout out to Billy, who does our our social media and our content writing. And super shout out to Shadona, who does our graphic design. And super shout out to Suzanne Duncan, my business partner. Without these amazing women, Femme Gaming wouldn't be where it is today. So thank you to the whole team for making it as successful as it is.
Well, thank you for that. I know the community appreciates it. I'm going to actually open up questions for here. If you have any questions, please just yell them out. We're just getting chat up right now. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. But do you have a question? Yeah.
Being a gamer in the community who may not be familiar that femme gaming is in existence, how do you like invite other people to it and like kind of get through different communities that may not know about you guys yet?
One thing you could do is sign up to our newsletter online at www.femgaming.gg. We're also on Instagram. Another great way is to join our Discord community. We have over 1,200 members worldwide from USA, Canada, Europe, Africa, South America. So definitely join through social media is a great way to get involved.
Any other questions in the audience today? Yeah.
What's your biggest fear and how do you overcome it daily?
So what's your biggest fear and how do you overcome it daily? Allison, Madison, either of you want to take this one?
You go first. I have to think.
That's a hard question. I don't know if it's exactly fear, but I am a little bit like Madison, although my team might say that I don't bring the sunshine every day. But I want everybody to be happy all the time, which is actually a good thing and not always a good thing because you can't make everybody happy all the time. And some people need to find their own happiness, of course. So I would say for me, particularly through the last 2 years of a pandemic, everybody's at home or coming in and out. I'm always deeply concerned about people's happiness. I can't really control their personal happiness, but their professional happiness. You know, you're always thinking about ways, how do you find ways to bring out the best in people? How do you make sure that there's a lot of talk about bringing the whole human to work? I mean, you can't separate, especially now, you can't separate home life from work life because half the time you're at home. How do we help to make sure that everybody's sort of living their best life when they're coming to work? And you know, that's not an easy thing to do all the time. And again, everybody's lives ebb and flow. So it's not so much a fear as it's something that certainly keeps me up at night, which is I want our team to be happy because they're doing so much for this organization and for each other. So it's certainly something that consumes, and I think we do a good job at some things, but that is always a work in progress. And you can always invest more into your team, and that's something we strive to do on an ongoing basis.
This isn't like a huge fear. It's a serious fear, but I don't think about it every single day. But the thing that I get scared about sometimes is I have like a very happy life. I enjoy everything that I have going on. Sometimes I get scared of like losing it. Like, what if our finances go bad? What if like something happens with our job? What if our something happens to our baby? So that's a little unrealistic, and I think to overcome it, just focus on your happiness. Just be realistic. It's one of those things, the more you worry about something, it doesn't make it any better. I'm butchering it, but yeah, it's a waste to worry about things that aren't happening. And that's like needles, really scared of needles. But like besides that, that's my only like actual fear.
Jess, do you have any advice on how you overcome your fears?
I guess one of my fears would be public speaking, so this is one of them. In regards to femme gaming, I'm pretty confident about talking about other things, but when I'm talking about femme gaming and it's about me, I definitely, right now I can't even speak, but what helps me overcome it is knowing that I have the great support in the audience from my team, so thank you for being here.
And we'll take one more question. Yes.
I would say that you're not alone, and there's a bunch of female gamers. As we know, 45% of gamers are female, yet that's not represented in the industry. So just know you're not alone. Surround yourself with supportive people. Don't be afraid to stream. Some people are amazing gamers, but they're scared to stream. So then they're never going to be an esport player because no one will know that you're a great player. So overcome streaming, overcome not being the best. Just have fun with it and know that you're not alone. And there's so many women that are in your spot, just wanting to make a difference and wanting to be in the position that other people are, like Allison and Madison are.
Well, thank you for that, Jess. And thank the three of you, Madison, Allison, Jess, for joining us for our first IRL Ladies Power Hour. Give them a round of applause. Now, remember, we have these discussions quite often, so if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with Fem Gaming, go to femgaming.gg, as well as Fem Gaming's here at the Toronto Ultra Major 3. You could check out the Fem Gaming Lounge, hang out there, play some COD, have a good time. Let's just all celebrate all of our accomplishments and this big one that's happening here in Toronto this weekend, and just let's have fun. What we'll do now for the final bit, we're gonna leave you with a little video at the end, but thank you so much for staying tuned at home and for joining us in the live audience. Have a good night.
I love knowing that there are so many women that enjoy gaming as much as I do.
Where else can you find a strong group of women that are just supportive and they don't judge ever? That's why I like it there.